a very beautiful community. Battling with health today, and I thought I wouldn't be with you, but then I thought, you know what, I think we can do a lighter chat together. So let's do that. I don't love the word battle with health because it's about a challenge that's part of life. It's not just an external assault on life, it's a tragic element in life. But sometimes on difficult days you battle, and so I'm privileged to be able to sit up for a bit and be with you. But what I thought we'd do is that I dipped into my Patreon and I had a look if there's a question there we could take that's to the lighter end. And there is. And it's a question from Marco about why Trump never laughs. Quick question for whenever you have time. Vlad, why doesn't Trump ever laugh? I've noticed that he never properly laughs out loud. He smiles and does a conscious chuckle. But for someone who's been recorded for so long, I've never ever seen him laugh. You've mentioned his alleged neurodivergencies and his narcissism. Could this be related? What if someone told him a very funny joke? Well, Marco, I think I haven't followed this, but I bet it's been discussed a bit. I also bet it hasn't been discussed well. But the observation is right. And it's not that he can't laugh, it's that he can't laugh in a heartfelt way, or it's nearly impossible for him to laugh in a heartfelt way. So why? You're asking, is this to do with his narcissism? The answer is yes. Is this to do with his neurodiversity? ADHD, definitely not. It's not just that people with ADHD are often some of our best comedians. It's also that they're capable of heartfelt laughter. I won't get into how autism might inflect humor. Obviously, autistic people also laugh a lot. So I'm just going to put that aside and focus on Trump's narcissism. I think all of us right now get one bit straight away, and that's that it's difficult for Trump to not be in control. And so just imagine the vulnerability of the physiological relaxation that heartfelt laughter requires. So that's one element. Of course, it's true that Trump is good at making a lot of people laugh, and he has comedic timing, and a comedic timing that he can really remarkably tailor to particular social media platforms. So we're not talking about it that way around. You might not find Trump funny, but millions of people do. So that's enough to say about that. So we're talking about his capacity to heartfeltedly laugh, not his capacity to make others laugh. So one thing is control. He has to stay in control. The second thing is that he is incapable of real meaningful exchange with people. He doesn't know what it's even like for somebody else to put him in their mind, to make space for him in their mind. And he doesn't even know what it would look like for him to make space for others in their mind. He can't really see others because he doesn't see anything when he looks into himself. And that incapacity for heartfelt reciprocal exchange with humans, because nothing is fully real to Trump when it comes to other human beings, makes it difficult to laugh heartfeltedly. Obviously, then you could just say, thirdly, perhaps that he just spends so much time obsessively thinking about himself and what theatrics he needs to engage with, that sort of crowds out the space for the heartfelt experience of humor. Yeah, that's okay. I think fourthly, there is an element of narcissism that I didn't discuss just because YouTube videos are short on the main channel, and that's to do with hysteria. Now, it's a word I'm very uncomfortable with in some ways because it's in the 20th century, the word has been medicalized and wrongly used to tell very sick and disabled women that there's nothing wrong with them and the problem's in their mind. So the medicalization of hysteria is an appalling sort of medical crime in the 20th century. And it's still a crime that some of neurology engages in, unfortunately, today. At a minimum, a grave epistemic crime. However, I don't think you can get away from having something psychoanalytically in place where there is hysteria. And what's that about then? And that's about two things, I think, to start with. One is it's people who begin to relate to parts of their body which aren't sexual parts as though they were sexual parts, or as though they were sexual parts all the time, when for normal folks they're just sexual parts only some of the time in particular contexts. Now, for Trump, that's obviously the pout and the sex pout. Do not misunderstand that this is a sexualization pathology that he's engaging in, and it's because there's a sexualized and sensualized excitement there for him, that he holds the pout so long, that he loves it himself being seen pouting, that he takes pleasure in the very thought that he's about to pout, and he's going to pout and he's going to stop pouting, but then he can pout again. So unfortunately, it's not just ridiculous, it is also a little bit disgusting, I'm afraid to say. Especially when you connect some of the things that lead him to do the pout with some of the very same things that then lead him to do, tariffs and destabilization of global politics. So this centralization and sexualization has consequences. But that's one element. You also encounter, I think, in a lot of people who have experienced childhood trauma and can't fully separate sexualized from non-sexualized interaction. When you hug somebody like that, you feel that to you it's non-sexualized, but to them it's vague. So that's one element of hysterical psychopathology which Trump has. You think of bits of yourself as though they were sexual, which they really shouldn't be, or shouldn't be in that particular context. The second element is that you just substitute the meeting of real needs by others with this kind of engagement in the boosting of a sense of sensualized and sexualized excitement. So you substitute the meeting of your real emotional needs to a kind of theatrical, sexualized, sensualized game. And when people engage in that, and I believe Trump does, although I do think the first point I've made is easier to understand than this one just offhand, it takes the place of the capacity for humor, because it's just one more thing that's taking the place of heartfelt exchange. So I do think that mostly in terms of the way narcissism sits in Trump, you can work out why it's nearly impossible and in many respects unbearable for him to laugh in a heartfelt way. We had a go, beautiful community. Lots of love.